The Batman is almost upon us, and I thought it would be a lot of fun to go back and look at my top 10 Batman animated films of all time. Hey guys, before we jump into my list, I actually wanted to let you know that I'm going to be on a podcast this weekend as a guest, and I'm very excited about it. You can find it is Straight Outta Gotham, where we're going to talk, I'm sure, the Batman. We're going to talk about a lot of geek news, I'm sure, and it should be a lot of fun. I've been listening to these guys for a little bit. They were so nice to invite me onto their show. I am very excited, a little nervous, but very excited to be on there, and I hope you guys give them a listen. All right, with all that out of the way, guys, let's get into my list. All right, and starting with number 10, we have Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's right, this crossover event I never thought in my life I would ever see, but after there's a graphic novel or series, like a limited series that kind of came out called Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is really good, by the way. It's like a 6-issue series. They've done like 3 sets of these, which is a lot of fun. I love the art. The writing's, great, and I think it meshes both worlds together in a very fun way. And this animated film captures a lot of that fun spirit from that book. And I think this is such a good time. I mean, I'm not going to, it's number 10 on my list. So it does a lot of good stuff, right? Stuff that I thoroughly enjoy, especially growing up being a Ninja Turtles fan. I was in love with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Secret of the Ooze was like one of my favorite movies ever growing up, as well as was the original, 1989 Batman. Pretty much any Batman thing at the time was my favorite. So to see these two worlds collide into this animated film is so much fun. Michelangelo, teaming up with the Dark Knight and, all of Batman's allies like Robin, Batgirl. And then you also got like all the Ninja Turtles and then fighting Shredder and Batman's Rogues Gallery. It's just, this is a boatload of fun. And I think this is a good way to start off my list because it's, it's obviously not the greatest, but I think it's worthy enough to be mentioned and put into my top 10. At number 9 was something I didn't even see till a couple of years ago. When I was younger, I remember this movie coming out, but I had never seen it. I never watched it all the way through. It was a little bit of a surprise. But it's 1998's Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero. This was like not the sequel to the other Batman, the animated series movie, Mask of the Phantasm. It kind of is another offshoot of the TV series. It looks straight, from the animated series. Just that style brings a lot of nostalgia back for me. And the story is actually really compelling. I always kind of brush this off to the side because it came out around the time that Batman and Robin came out. And I wasn't too, okay, as a kid, I loved Batman and Robin. But obviously now I was like, Batman and Robin killed the franchise. I kind of don't want anything to do with that animated movie because it was kind of it was originally supposed to be like a tie-in. Just in terms of like, oh, you like the Batman and Robin movie with Mr. Freeze in it? Well, here's an animated movie with Batman and Mr. Freeze. And so I was kind of wrote it off. And growing up, I had a cousin who owned this on VHS. I just had no desire to watch it as much as I love Batman the animated series. But this is actually, it was a pleasant surprise a couple years ago when they put this out on Blu-ray. And I finally sat down to watch it. And, just was one of my favorite episodes is Mr. Freeze's Heart of Ice episode in the animated series. And so this just kind of, maybe not as good as that episode per se. I still find a lot of charm in this, and it's great always seeing that Batman the Animated Series art style, and having it in like a nice movie package is a bonus. Number 8 is Gotham by Gaslight, which is a story where it takes place in like the Victorian era of England, but Bruce Wayne is Batman at that point in time, and he's kind of tracking down Jack the Ripper, which is a lot of fun. I think there's a great twist at the end on the identity of Jack the Ripper, and there's a lot of good little Easter eggs and nods to the Batman universe, but into this Victorian era setting they put it in, which is a lot of fun and different. And I think if you're looking for a different, unique kind of take on Batman, this is really cool to see him kind of in this costume. I think it's one of the coolest Batman costumes, they've done in this Victorian era. And so, I think this is a lot of fun. And I think people, could get a lot out of this just because it's different and so different that, people might be like, that sounds interesting. I might have to check that out. And you should, because I think it's pretty darn good. At number 7, we have another animated movie based on one of the most influential Batman stories of all time. That's Batman Year One. This film came out in 2011. And, it's based on a 4-issue story arc by Frank Miller with art by David Mazzucchelli. And the book, I mean, the 4 issues, put together in the Batman Year One graphic novel are some of the best Batman you'll ever read. It's a great Batman and Jim Gordon story. And the animated film does a pretty good job at adapting this. The only issue that kept it from going up higher on my list is probably the fact that they experimented with this and they actually used the narration. Like in the book, you have Bruce Wayne narrating things that happen, Jim Gordon narrating things that are happening to him. And, you get not thought bubbles, but you get the narration bubbles in the comic book. But in this, actually hearing that narration was a little weird. It just didn't really fit the tone of this, and it's something I think they correct in another Batman movie, which I might talk about later on down the line here. But still, I think this is a good movie, a great adaptation of one of the best Batman stories. But yeah, if you've never even read the graphic novel, I mean, this is a good place to start too. But yeah, I think obviously check this one out too. At number 6, we have The Long Halloween. Now, this hasn't been collected into one disc just yet. It was released in 2021 last year as a 2-parter, and it's great. I mean, just sitting down watching these both back to back, it's a lot of fun. The animation, I think, is really, really sleek, and it's one of the best Batman stories ever. I finally got the Long Halloween in an Absolute Edition comic, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's a big old extra stuffed comic book. It's huge, it's big, and I loved it to death, and the art is amazing in the book. The movie, they obviously can't translate that art exactly. They show you little bits of it in like some of the opening credits stuff, the artwork from the graphic novel or the story, and this is such a good influential Batman story. You'll see elements of this in the Dark Knight trilogy, and then I'm pretty sure we're going to see a little bit of this in the Batman, some elements from this story. And I'm just super excited. It's a great mystery, going through the different months of the year. There's a serial killer on the loose, killing on holidays, and it's Batman in his early years trying to figure out who this killer is. And it's a lot of fun and just such a great read, great art, and just one of the top Batman stories you'll ever read. And as an animated film, it worked. And they did a really good job adapting this from book to screen. They changed some stuff, which, when you adapt stuff, you need to do. And I liked a lot of the changes they made, so give this one a shot as well. At number 5, we have Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. That's right. This is the one where Batman isn't really the lead Batman. In this, obviously, Bruce Wayne is in it as the mentor figure to Terry McGinnis. I liked the Batman Beyond series. It's not my favorite. I remember when it was airing, I kind of kept an eye on it, but I never really got into Batman Beyond. But this particular movie, Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, definitely is a great mix of seeing Bruce Wayne in the past. Like, they do a great, one of the best scenes is this flashback to Batman when he was younger, and how something that happened between Batman and the Joker back in the past is how it informs what's going on in the story in the present time or in the future with Terry McGinnis as Batman. And I just think, I kind of wrote it off when I first saw Return of the Joker as a kid. I was like, whatever. It's just Batman Beyond. It's okay. I like seeing Mark Hamill come back as, his Joker, which is incredible. But as an adult rewatching it, I'm just like, this is so good. It is one, like I said, it's sitting here at number 5. It's a top 5 animated Batman film, and it's weird for me because I will hard fast say that Bruce Wayne always will be Batman. And while he is technically Batman in this, and he is more of a mentor figure in this to Terry McGinnis, who is the main Batman of this story, it works. And I full-fledged 2 thumbs up endorse this. All right, number 4, we have the adaptation of probably what is considered the greatest Batman story of all time, The Dark Knight Returns, or in the movie title, Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. This was also released in 2 parts. But when they collected it all into one big edition, it's great. It's very super faithful to the graphic novel. I don't think there's a whole lot of tweaks or changes they made to that original story. So you're pretty much getting almost, from page to screen exactly what goes in there. The art style mimics as best as it can that Frank Miller art from that graphic novel, but it's the graphic novel art is just so unique and so rough, and it's hard to adapt that. But I think they got pretty close with the animation in this. Great voice cast. I think Peter Weller as Batman does a phenomenal job. Everybody would know him as RoboCop, but he just brings something out of this older, grizzled Batman that, when I read that graphic novel now, I just hear that voice now, and it is one of the best Batman books ever made. But as an animated film in these 2 parts, it's number 4, and I do like that one a whole lot, and I would recommend people checking it out if you want a more dense, a more involved Batman story. And yeah, combined, it's like 2.5 hours. You're gonna be sitting there watching an animated movie, but give it a shot if you haven't seen it, and it's one of the best Batman stories out there. At number 3, we have a film that might shock a lot of people, but I think the Lego Batman movie might be one of the best Batman movies just made, period. I'd put it up there with some of the live action films, just in terms of quality, how good the story is, how faithful it tells a Batman story of its own without making fun of the character to the point where he's a big joke. They have a lot of good fun. They poke a lot at the mythos and the history of Batman, which Batman's got a long 80-year history. At this point, it was like 75-year Batman history. And, this character's been through so much, and they do everything, from referencing Adam West to referencing the Dark Knight trilogy to Batman vs. Superman, that, this thing just pulls you in from the opening of, as soon as you hit play and you hear Will Arnett as Batman doing the voiceover at the beginning. I mean, you're just drawn in. I remember watching this in theaters, just cracking up. I think I saw it 3 or 4 times in theaters. I loved it to death. It's just one of the best Batman movies, and the Batman Joker dynamic in this movie is awesome. What they did with it, and put a little tear in my eye. I ain't gonna lie. It's a lot of fun and very, I think, underrated to a lot of people. I remember it not making that much money at the box office. I don't think a lot of people went and saw this and checked it out, but it is legitimately one of the best Batman movies out there. Go look at it. Go check it out. I know it's Lego, and that might turn a lot of people off, but I am telling you, this film is awesome. At number 2 might be a shock to a lot of people, because this is usually number 1 on a lot of people's list, but Batman Mask of the Phantasm. It, released in 93. I was only 4 years old when this came out, but I distinctly remember seeing this in the theater. I remember with my dad going to see this, and I remember some promotion with bubblegum. I don't know for what, but I remember seeing that movie and bubblegum was involved. I don't know. There's some promotion. Maybe somebody who's a little older than me can elaborate on that, but that's just the dots I connect there. But anyway, Mask of the Phantasm, another offshoot from the Batman the animated series from the 90s. And this, oh my god, this film is just, from the opening music, the choir music that you hear singing the animated Batman theme is awesome, and just it pulls you in, it gives you chills, and the story just goes. Batman fighting this mysterious phantasm and just going through this mystery, going kind of also through Batman's origins a little bit. It's just something else as these mobsters are getting knocked off, and it's kind of got that Long Halloween-esque vibe where it's another mystery, and I like seeing Batman as a detective. It's something we don't get a whole lot, I think, especially in the live action, you get a little bit of it. But this just, a lot of people love this, and I love it too. Like I said, this is number 1 on a lot of people's list, and I get it. It's that important, and it's up there with a lot of the live action Batman movies as well. But, there is one film that I have to say, it just connects with me a lot more. For me, the number 1 Batman animated film has got to be Batman Under the Red Hood. When I first saw this film, I was blown away. It's a powerful story, about Batman dealing with the, spoiler alert, I guess it's the first 5 minutes of the movie, this gripping, just the death of Robin. And you get a Batman that, has had to deal with this loss. And then you got this new rogue in town that, starts causing trouble for Batman. And then Batman, again, another mystery that Batman's kind of slowly pulling away at. This problem Batman's dealing with, and it just grips me from beginning to end. From a stellar voice cast, the way this Joker is portrayed in this film is awesome. You got Neil Patrick Harris in there as Nightwing, Bruce Greenwood as Batman, a great Batman. And then you got John DiMaggio as Joker, and it's one of my favorite versions of the Joker. And it all works. It's all just this perfect combination. Jensen Ackles plays the Red Hood character, and it's just, oh my gosh, it is just a lot of fun. At the end, there's one of the most powerful scenes in any Batman medium ever, where Batman is confronting the Red Hood, and this is just one of those Batman films, and it has been since it's come out, that I will show or I've tried to show other friends, being like, this rivals like Batman in the theaters. It is so good, and I would recommend it if you have never seen it to go check it out. Like I said, I'm sure this won't be number one on a lot of Batman fans' animated films list, but for me, it just hit the right notes, and it's been sitting at number one for a long time, and nothing's really come close since it's come out, other than the Lego Batman movie a couple years ago. Almost got up there, but you still got Mask of the Phantasm holding tight at 2. So yeah, that's my list, guys. I know my number one is not going to be on everybody else's number one, which is fine. And when I put these lists together, I just like having a lot of these things where even if you don't agree with how I arranged them, you can at least go, yep, I could see that. Or if you've never seen something, at least I've got something on this list that would make you go, I've never seen that before, let me check it out. And maybe it lands on your list, maybe it doesn't. I mean, it's cool. Like, what is great about Batman is there's all these different, films and things you can go to get a story that connects with you, and that's what I love about the character, because there's stuff like, yeah, I like stuff that just doesn't land with me, and that's the beauty of Batman in one of many ways. So I'm done blabbering. And again, guys, a reminder, I'm going to be on the Straight Outta Gotham podcast this weekend. I'm very excited about that. Go check them out. Please, these guys are awesome and do a lot of fun stuff with their show. It's definitely worth a listen, multiple listens, every week. So do that. And so, of course, hit that like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button. Both of those mean a lot to me, and it helps the channel grow, and I greatly appreciate it. And of course, I'm sure, leave down in the comments below, what is your favorite animated Batman film? How would your top 10 list go if you have a top 10 list? Which of mine deserve to be on the list? Which ones shouldn't have been on my list? Which ones did I forget about? Because, there's a lot. I had a whole stack of Blu-rays sitting out. I'm looking at them, trying to arrange them, like, how would I do this? And, I felt bad leaving some off. There's still some that aren't on my top 10 list that have some merit that I would definitely recommend to people. So maybe another video, another time, for other animated Batman movies to talk about. But until that time, and until next time, guys, I'll be seeing you.